Hello everyone and welcome back to From Our Basement Gaming.
Hey everyone.
We are back with part 4 of our Metroid Let's Play.
That we are.
We are continuing on our journey through this planet. Hopefully we'll make good progress. I was saying it's kind of hard for me since I'm not familiar with this game to gauge our progress.
That's understandable.
Yeah. I'm a little more familiar with the Metroid Prime series.
It's understandable, and yeah.
Which, don't worry guys, we will probably definitely play that one day.
Yes, we will. I'd be shocked if we didn't.
I would be too. But we have plenty of things to keep us busy
Oh, yeah.
before we get anywhere near there.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And I understand because it's the hardness of this game is navigating it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Oh, crap. Oh,
Yes.
but why?
But you boys, how cruel. That iconic scene.
Yep.
From Gundam Wing. So, the saddest thing for me is they didn't have to change it to but why.
Exactly.
Because she went, she said hidoi, which means how cruel. And I'm like, that's 2 syllables. How cruel is 2 syllables.
Yeah.
I don't know why they changed it to but why. So sometimes I'm like, that was part of my beef with English dubs too back in the day, is when they would needlessly change the script. And yeah, I understand changing it to meet the mouth movements.
Oh, yeah.
But since mouth movements are very different in anime, they're not really specifically made to match the specific dialogue the way the Western cartoons are. This is something I learned that's very interesting.
Oh, wow.
And this is not with all cartoons, but a lot of the cartoons, what would happen is they would actually animate it after they recorded the voice acting. So they would, to make sure it fits, they would do the mouth movements to specifically match the way the voice actor was saying the lines. So there was more care to have the lip movements look natural for what they're saying. Whereas in anime, that's not really the case. It's just mouth movements, and that's why anime is a little more suited to foreign dubs, because it's basically the same kind of mouth movements. So, to me, honestly, I think the Japanese probably have more trouble dubbing our stuff than we do their stuff because of that. And they have to try really careful, to be really careful to get a voice actor that can make the same vibe or have the same kind of lip movements, or otherwise it looks really strange. And I know because I've seen some Japanese dubs of Western cartoons. But anyway, in anime, they draw it, and create the lip movements first, and then the voice actors record. So it's not just with the English dub that they do that. They actually do it in Japan that way as well, because they don't make it specifically to match the voice actor. And that's something I read when I was, learning about the voice acting industry. That's one of the things I learned, which was really cool. So that's what, when you're watching a cartoon and a voice actor's really nailing it, they really do become the character because they specifically make sure that's the case. At least, I don't know if once we got to CG, if it was still the same way, but like the 90s cartoons and early 2000s cartoons were like that. I don't know about the really old cartoons, but I assume they are as well.
It can vary.
Yeah. It probably depends on budget as well.
Yes.
But yeah, anyway, so since the lip movements are more flexible, you just have to worry about matching syllable, basically. Or the number of syllables, more specifically. So, like, but why and how cruel are both 2 syllables, and what she said in Japanese was 2 syllables. So I'm like, why didn't you just make it more accurate? And then the other thing they do is localization, where they're like, well, I don't think the way this is said will resonate with American audience, so we're going to change it.
That how cruel wouldn't resonate with Americans?
I'm wondering if that's the case, but it seems really bizarre to me. Because it's again one of those weird things that, I don't know, I'm just hypersensitive to this, I guess, but I feel like it kind of changes, even something as little as that changes your impression of the character.
It does.
Because but why is a little bit more like, I'm confused, why are you being mean to me? Whereas how cruel is like, why you're being mean? Why so it feels a little bit different to me. Like, but why just seems softer than how cruel. But I don't know, maybe some people will say, it's the same difference, Kevin, you're getting worked up for nothing, but
no. But by watching how they dubbed the lines from Kiki's delivery service.
Right, once you saw it in Japanese, you're like, I've been cheated. Yeah. Yeah, and that was Disney, so it probably had tons of localization if I had to. I should watch that movie in Japanese someday. I have yet to do so.
I need to share that with you.
Yeah, because I mean, I liked the movie, but I probably would like it even better in Japanese.
I need to.
Yeah, we can watch it together sometime, since you have the DVD. But anyway, that's just... Yeah, just going back to what I was talking about in another video, I was just bringing this up, that's my other thing about dubs. And, it's not just with anime, it's not just from Japanese to English. I, in fact, found out thanks to a close friend of mine who saw a video about the French dub of Frozen that they actually did change some story notes in the French dub of Frozen. Now the person who made this video was arguing that it made the story better. I watched the video and listened to their point, and sadly this is a rare case where I agree that they actually handled the characters better. But I felt really awkward because I usually don't like it when localization teams are like I know the best way to do this.
Yeah.
I know better than the original writer, that annoys me.
I know better than Disney.
Yeah, in the case of the French translation, yeah, it felt like I know better than Disney. But it was to be fair, it was probably Disney of France, so.
Oh, yeah.
To be fair, it's still Disney. It's still the Disney ego, I guess. But anyway, yeah. I probably still would have said, yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that. Frozen is not really... I haven't watched it, but from the reviews I had heard and about the story, I'm not really a huge fan of it from that.
Yeah.
Unless I watch it and it happens to be better than people are saying it is, which I doubt, because everybody acts like it's the greatest thing ever, so... Except for, the people who critically review it. But...
Considering it sounds like Frozen 2 was a dud.
Yeah, I kind of heard that they liked some of the ideas, but it wasn't executed well. One of those feelings, which is sad when you have ambitious ideas and don't deliver on said ambitious ideas. And well, I think the fandom in general had certain things in mind for what they wanted for the characters, and certain things that Disney would probably never go for, even though the writers were like, yeah, I'm all for this, but it's like, are you really?
Exactly.
Especially now, unfortunately, because Disney's kind of they're trying to match the political era of the time. I won't get into it too much, but yes. Well,
Cowardly Lion is braver than you are, Disney.
Because they used to take more risks, so I just blame it on the political atmosphere in our country at the moment.
Yes.
Because I'm like, what does it matter? I guess they decided, alright, we're tired of angering parents. But
the only people who are pretty much
the I'll be nice and say the traditional parents.
Well,
and you know what I mean by traditional. I'm just trying not to get political.
Yeah.
But they were the ones always getting angry at it.
Yeah.
And heck, I had a family member who was mad at Disney just for having villains. Which I'm like, okay, I love you, but that is too far.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna call them out. They are no longer with us, and I don't want to speak ill of the dead.
Nice.
But yeah. Because their concern was that children, very, very young children, will be watching and be scared, and it's like, you know what, that's gonna happen anyway. That's why movies have ratings. I mean, I remember being in the theater watching Up, and when the villain set fire to the place, the kids were crying, like, because they were like, I want to say 2 or 3-year-olds, and they started crying because there was a fire. So I'm like, are you going to tell me Disney movies can't have fires? And I'm like, because I'm gonna say it, even like a family-friendly Pixar movie like Up You probably should not be having your kid go if they're under 5, and even 5 might be pushing it, because there are some things that might upset your kid, and if you don't want to challenge your kid, if you don't want your kid crying, maybe just don't take them to see it until they're a few years older. I mean, you just have to judge the maturity of the kid. I mean, I don't know. I watched Nightmare Before Christmas when I was 3, and it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Somehow.
You amaze me, my man.
I don't know, because usually, you know, you look back at me, I did not like horror, I didn't like monsters, but Nightmare Before Christmas. I guess it's because of how the characters were portrayed. They weren't portrayed as scary.
Mm-hmm.
They were portrayed in a very human way. I suppose you could even argue Oogie Boogie, even though he was the villain.
Yeah.
And he's actually apparently just a bunch of bugs in a sack.
Yeah.
I want to know how that works.
So do I.
Because he seems like he's one person, but then when you find out he's actually a bunch of bugs, it's very confusing. It's like, okay, did he start out as just one bug, and then he got together with a bunch of other bugs, and they kind of like became one entity somehow? Especially because, you know, spoilers, but at the end when he was falling apart, he's like, my bugs, and I'm like, I don't understand. Are you a spirit that possessed the bugs? There are some things that they didn't explain in The Nightmare Before Christmas that I took for granted as a kid, that as an adult I'm like, well, what is this? You know, I listened to the epilogue of Nightmare Before Christmas soundtrack only version, where the narrator mentions that Jack and Sally had kids, and I go, how?
She's a doll, and he's a skeleton.
She's a rag doll, he's a skeleton. And then I'm like, I don't know, did Finkelstein make kids for them? That's my going theory, is that they were like, they wanted kids, so they asked Dr. Finkelstein to make them kids, and he agreed because he would have grandkids, and he thought that was cool. If Sally is a daughter to him, that's the other thing that's unclear.
Right.
But anyway, yeah. So, yes. It must just be Tim Burton's charming style. Yeah. Prepares you to become a gothic kid.
Yep.
I may not dress it or have the gothic style, but I swear there's that side of me.
Yeah, I think so.
I'd like to one day, but, you know, can't sew, not crafty, and am poor. So, can't exactly do the goth life much, but maybe one day. Or punk. I haven't decided which yet. Let me know in the comments which you think it would fit me better. If you know me well enough. You might not. You might be like, I don't know you. I can't answer that. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I can't answer that for you.
I'm afraid not, Dr. Robotnik.
You have reached the point of no return. Sorry.
How morbid.
My brain went to Phantom of the Opera.
Yes.
And that's... I know, you always like to sing the song by her childhood friend that she runs away with, and I'm like, no!
Surprisingly, you're not the only one who feels that way, actually.
I'm like, no! I like the Phantom better, darn it. But I think I very clearly know the reason for that. I mean, I know you're gonna say, well, he committed lots of crimes and he's toxic and da 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 da. I know all that. But I like him as a character. And I feel for him, and I honestly feel it's because I'm disabled. So I think I can relate to the fact that he was shunned. He's got a physical disability that makes people fear him, and also he's kind of an odd person.
Yes.
He's got a weird obsession, and I feel like he's become the way he is because of the society at the time.
Yes.
Whether it was the book version, the musical version, or the movie version, which I'm sure all had different dates. I'm not familiar with the book. Sadly, I have not seen the musical yet. I've heard some of the musical, but I'm that weird kid that my first exposure to it was the movie, and I actually liked the movie.
Yeah.
A lot of people like to dunk on the movie. I'm not one of them. And I know I can hear you in the comments. I did the song a little bit wrong, but I don't want to do it too accurate. I also just don't know all the words, but I want to learn it. I'm not really good at singing musical stuff, though.
That's okay.
I'm extremely picky. Like, literally, I think I only like 3 musicals, arguably.
Interesting. I know The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, well, I'm talking actual musicals.
Oh,
like
Broadway.
on Broadway. Yeah.
Okay.
Not movies that are musicals because they have a lot of songs. Because if I have to include Disney movies and like Fox and DreamWorks, then yeah, I like much more than 3. But
right.
In terms of like musicals that the theater kids talk about, 3. Yeah. Yeah, and that would be Phantom of the Opera, Sweeney Todd, and Mamma Mia.
Oh.
Yeah.
What would they do that? Pause for a moment.
Because I had a brain fart moment.
Mamma Mia.
It's one of these things is not like the other. Because you're there like, oh my god, Kevin, yeah, you are a goth. Because you listed 2 very dark, disturbing musicals. Yes, I did. And then there's Mamma Mia, where you're like, huh? I'm like, yeah, it's gonna sound weird.
That's alright. Interesting story. We don't get resolved on who her dad is, but spoiler alerts.
Yeah, and I like the musical version. Okay, so Mamma Mia is a case where I am shun the movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, speaking of which, yeah, I prefer the musical as well because the musical actually kept a lot of the crucial context
Yeah.
that was needed to actually understand the story that the movie neglected.
And I liked the singing much better. The songs sounded much better. I feel like... Now, some people will argue with me on this point as well. I feel like in the Phantom of the Opera movie, they were still talented singers.
Oh, yeah.
Now, in the Mamma Mia movie... I feel like they were too influenced by popular songs of the time in the movie version, and not all of them can sing. I think they chose...
Poor Pierce.
Yeah, I think they chose them for their acting, not for their singing.
Yeah.
And, you know, I will say Meryl Streep does well.
She did. She did very well.
Everybody technically does good with the acting, although I'm not fond of who they chose for the female lead. I'm sorry, I don't remember her name.
That's okay. I am the same.
I was busy trying to figure out if she was the same girl from Mean Girls, and I think I discovered no. But
oh yeah.
I think she just happens to look kind of like that girl. But yeah, so Mamma Mia is a case where I'm not fond of the movie version. But I have not seen the musical version of Phantom of the Opera in full. I want to, believe me, I really want to. But it seemed like whenever I wanted to see it, the place closest to us would always just do Phantom instead. And I'm like, where's Phantom of the Opera?
Wait. They would only do...
Yeah.
Which is...
I don't remember how it's different, but it's different.
They're not doing this...
It might be the sequel, but I don't know.
Because, I've heard something about number 2, live in Coney Island.
This says it is Phantom of the Opera. Now I'm confused. Yeah. But they had one called Phantom of the Opera. I have to look into it more. I don't know if I can trust AI generated anyway. AI generated is like, it's the same thing. Is it? Why don't you call it Phantom of the Opera if it's the same thing? Did we cancel Andrew Lloyd Webber? Is that what's going on?
I didn't think
I don't.
It was canceled, but
I know he's controversial, but
can my drama teacher was make or break with him, and she did not care for.
The few people who have watched to this point is like, how did we get here? I'm watching you guys play Metroid. Why are you talking about musicals? I'm sorry, I don't have much to talk about with Metroid.
That's quite alright. I mean, with me with musicals, I feel sad because two of them, the first Phantom of the Opera, which is one of Webber's best, and actually a while ago I would have said another favorite of mine is Cats, but unfortunately when there was nothing really that deep about it, it really is just his retelling the poems from the book.
You're like, oh, this has a beautiful message about society and the rich and famous, and then you're like, oh wait, no. It's not that deep.
Yeah, because admittedly, I was wondering, when I was a teenager especially, is there a deeper meaning behind Cats?
My problem, unfortunately, is I was too young when I saw Cats, so I didn't understand or appreciate it. I was just like, this is really weird. I don't know what's going on. Like, I literally didn't know what was going on in the story, so that just didn't help at all.
That would not help at all.
I don't remember, I was only 3 or 4 probably.
You were young.
Yeah, well, my parents took me to see it. It was around the same time we saw the Nutcracker.
Oh! Impressive. The original, or anyone special in that?
I don't know, because I was young.
I'm sorry.
But it's okay. I just know it was mostly just a ballet. There wasn't too much to it. You know, it didn't have any kind of dialogue added or anything. It was just the ballet. If that helps any, I don't know. Because I think there are later versions where they add dialogue and stuff.
Yeah.
I could say, well, it's not that. It was just the ballet.
Yeah, and admittedly, I do know around the early 90s there was a version of the Nutcracker that had Macaulay Culkin as Nutcracker.
Well, definitely wouldn't have been that, because that would have been a movie, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if they did most of it, but...
Yeah, so we're gonna continue this until game over.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it actually did pretty terrible, unfortunately.
Yeah.
With Macaulay Culkin.
I've had some people, weirdly, mostly people in Japan tell me I look like Macaulay Culkin.
Interesting.
Like, and then somebody over here, when I told them I had that experience, they're like, no, you look like his brother.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm like, he has a brother? I'm like, and then I looked it up, and I'm like, yeah, I look more like his brother than him. Which is really weird. I'm like, huh.
I find it awesome.
There was one person who said I looked like Winona Ryder. Like, similar eyes, I guess. Face. Like a brother, I guess, to her. But, we were supposed to stop.
Oh, shoot, you're right.
Game over. I know. We like the conversation.
Yeah.
But, alright, guys, we'll see you next time. Bye.